Hello and welcome to Hysteria. I'm Erin Ryan.
And I'm Alyssa Mastromonaco.
Now, Alyssa, we know that there's no such thing as a good billionaire. No such thing. But is MacKenzie Scott the closest thing we have to one?
I think she is absolutely the closest thing to a good billionaire we will ever see.
Yeah, in addition to doing things like take a $55 million mansion and donate it to
that was amazing.
The fight against homelessness in Los Angeles to provide people for low-cost housing, and giving money to art centers that facilitate the art of like marginalized communities.
Yeah.
She also, I love the way she does it, where she just, like, organizations that have gotten money from her will be like, yeah, one day we just were like, yep, MacKenzie Scott's given us $50 million.
Yes. She doesn't do the, like, let's have a press conference with some lovely examples of the people who I'm helping so the rest of the world can pat me on the head and be like, what a good lady.
Yeah, she's like Batman, kind of, except
with
not money. Well, Batman has money, but she's using her money to, like, give it away, not just, like, buy herself gizmos and get in fist fights.
Right.
Also, I gotta say, I really appreciate the extent to which MacKenzie Scott is making her ex-husband, Jeff Bezos, look like a clown. Like a literal clown.
Erin, it is back to school season. How many times have we said it? We're giving Jeff Bezos the best advice he could ever get, which is clear the lists on Amazon for all the teachers.
All the lists.
Jesus Christ. You'd be a fucking hero. It would be a drop in the bucket. Clear the lists. It's like Tyler Perry did it in Atlanta. He cleared the layaways for everyone in Atlanta last Christmas or Christmas before. Just do it, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Be a good billionaire.
But, you know, I kind of appreciate the role that he's playing in the world, which is not just a clown.
Villain?
But a space clown. He's a clown that went to space. And we appreciate
And is now grounded.
And is now grounded. He can't go to space anymore. Oh,
wah, wah.
Anyway, we like what MacKenzie Scott is doing, and we're glad she's giving her money away because nobody should have that much money. Okay, Alyssa, we got to get to the news. There's less news this week than some weeks, it feels like.
I agree. It's kind of a good thing, right?
Yes. We are not Lucy and on the chocolate
Lucy and
conveyor.
Ethel just stuffing those truffles in our mouth.
Yeah, that's normally how I feel about the news. This week, I feel like it's a manageable conveyor belt.
Yeah, we have time
news.
to put them in the boxes.
We have time to put them in the box, for sure. I also think it was too hot in most places to make news these last couple of weeks.
Too hot. Everyone's just, it's too much. It's too much. Everyone's like, we get it. It's all terrible. We'll pay attention again. But please, can we just watch The Real Housewives for a little while?
Right. Well, it was over 100 degrees for several days in a row where I live. And I just stayed indoors mostly, like Luke Skywalker in the carcass of his tauntaun.
It gets really depressing. Like, it really, like, when we had, like, a big stretch of 95 plus weather, and all of a sudden you're like, am I ever going to be able to go out again? Like, it's just unbearable.
Yeah, and when it's cold, the thing is, when it's really cold, you can just put on more layers.
You layer up.
But you can't, like, there's only so many clothing items you can take off.
No, and it actually gets worse. It's like you almost need some sort of clothing to shield you from whatever heat and humidity it is. So, you know, it's like, linen. Just wear a lot of linen.
Coastal grandma aesthetic.
Exactly.
Is actually a practical lifestyle choice. But let's start on a good note.
It's shown in these playoffs. Gray! Why not?
That sound you just heard was from Game 2 of the WNBA Finals between the Las Vegas Aces and the Connecticut Sun. Yes, Sun from Connecticut. I'm sure there's a story behind it, but both games, 1 and 2 of the finals, have sold out and set attendance records for the league in the City of Sin. Now, because of the way the WNBA plays out its best-of-5 finals, Vegas is the higher seed team, so it gets the first 2 games at home. So the next 2 games will be in Connecticut. So let's see what Connecticut fans can do if they can show up, fans of the Las Vegas Aces. And I also want to add on the women's sports front, women's sports are attracting a lot of eyeballs this year. So I just learned that on September 17th, the San Diego Wave will face Angel City FC in front of the biggest National Women's Soccer League crowd ever. ever.
That's amazing.
Yep, they've already sold more than 32,000 tickets for the game, so that's exciting. And
Very exciting.
I got to drop in here that our producer Caroline is a season ticket holder for Angel City FC.
She's a bad bitch.
I had no idea. I didn't know that she was sneaking off after we record to just like be an Angel City FC super fan. Caroline contains multitudes. I do want to take this opportunity to dunk on Brett Favre.
That guy.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck
for many
that guy.
reasons. For many reasons. So we've got all of this like good news and positive role models in women's sports for the most part. And meanwhile, this is like running alongside headlines about Brett Favre. An investigative report by Mississippi Today found this week that former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant and ex-Green Bay Packer quarterback Brett Favre used welfare funds that were supposed to be for poor people to build a new volleyball center at the University of Southern Mississippi. Now, why would Brett Favre do that?
I don't know, Erin, but it feels to me like there are a lot of fucking people in Mississippi who don't have clean water and the money could have gone other places.
Yes. So the news organization that reported this, Mississippi Today, looked at text messages between the two of them. Okay, guys, if you're going to do welfare fraud, don't do it over text. It's just another sign that some of America's stupidest men are the ones doing these crimes. And it is a shame. I mean, just imagine how many men slightly smarter than Phil Bryant and Brett Favre are getting away with much worse things. So the texts were filed by an attorney representing a person named Nancy New, and Nancy has already pleaded guilty to 13 felony counts of bribery, fraud, and racketeering for her role in the scheme. So to call back to I Love Lucy, Brett Favre, you got some splaining to do.
Some splaining to do.
Yeah, so he sucks. And then I also want to shout out the best nickname I've ever seen for a bad sports figure. And that is something that was shown to me on Twitter, so I cannot take credit for this. Groper Cleveland.
Whoa.
Groper Cleveland, new nickname for Deshaun Watson, credibly implicated in dozens of sexual assaults and suspended for 11 games for being a sex pest. His name is now Groper Cleveland.
Groper Cleveland. That's good. That works for me.
Okay, well, we did a little sports minute, 5 minutes.
We should do that more often. I love sports minutes.
It's fun. It makes me feel like
we contain multitudes.
Yeah, exactly. We can have multiple interests at once. So let's pivot to the 2022 elections. Mm-hmm. So the GOP has had a few weeks of bad news, bad polling, unexpectedly bad special election results, including up there in New York, close to you, Alyssa. Mm-hmm. So, under normal circumstances, if a party was experiencing, their messaging was bringing them to this point, the message would be abort, abort, abort. But for the GOP, abortion is what got them into this mess, so they shouldn't be talking about abortion right now. Unfortunately for some in the party, that doesn't seem possible. Exhibit A, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Alyssa, what's our favorite Southern bachelor been up to?
Well, Erin, it seems that he couldn't let well enough alone and has decided talk about read the room. Where has he been for the past couple of months? He introduced legislation to institute a federal abortion ban at 15 weeks of pregnancy, which is something Mitch McConnell said and here's the thing. It's not like Mitch McConnell was lying to us and was like, we're not going to do that. They don't want to do that. It's terrible for them. Why would they do this? But Lindsey Graham, the single white man, no uterus, no kids, was like, let me get involved here. And he did. And it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, truly the Leah Michelle of reading the room, Lindsey Graham. Do you know what that refers to, Alyssa? Yeah. Please at least cackle, because that's a mean joke.
I did. I cackled.
Okay, good. Because I felt bad the second it left my lips. So the thing is, it is an abortion ban. And I think that the way that Republicans are trying to position any sort of limitations on abortion is disingenuous and we shouldn't go with it. A 15-week abortion ban is an abortion ban. With narrow exceptions, it would apply nationwide, doesn't matter what state you live in. This is contrary to things that Graham himself said right after Dobbs came down on June 24th. Graham himself said that this should be left up to the states. Now he's saying, just kidding, we're going to institute a 15-week abortion ban. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, 15 weeks is a lot more reasonable than what is currently happening in my state. Like, let's say you live in Texas. The thing is, this 15-week ban does not lift the ceiling of places with more restrictive bans. It only imposes a ceiling on places with more permissive laws designed to protect abortion access. So this is just really, it's like stupid policy. It's bad politics. And I don't know what Lindsey Graham was thinking. You know, the thing I thought was really funny about this was on Tuesday, at the end of the day, there was something in Politico that was like, GOP leaders aren't sure what Lindsey Graham is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think he's doing? Like, if we were to sit Mr. Graham down and say, like, Lindsey, walk us through what you think you're doing, what do you think he would say?
I don't know. It truly is perplexing because the whole GOP response to Dobbs was like, stop crying, liberals. We're just sending it back to the states. That's where it should be decided. And so what's he doing? I mean, it literally, I don't know what he could tell us that would make sense other than I was lonely because no one talks to me anymore. So I decided to introduce legislation on the Senate floor. Like, had he not made Mitch McConnell mad enough? Had he not, nothing he is doing makes sense on this. I don't think he could tell us anything that would make us be like, okay, we don't agree with you, but we see where you're coming from. There's just nothing. I think he was lonely.
You think he was? What if he's just mad at Mitch McConnell and this is just his version of, cutting off his nose to spite his face? He doesn't want Mitch to be in charge anymore. He doesn't want
Who
Mitch
does he want to be in charge? I mean, the thing is, it'd be one thing if somehow, for some reason, McConnell were some, outlier. But he's not. Everyone was just like, the fuck is Lindsey doing?
Yeah, it's so strange. And I don't know, the comparison was made after Dobbs came down that now Republicans are the dog that caught the car.
Right.
That right after it came down, most of them kind of laid low and they were like, all right, cool.
Oh, here we go.
Got what we wanted. We don't need to say anything else. There's no need to say anything else. But then we had people like Mike Pence who catch the car and they're like, keep going. I want to keep chasing. They can't resist continuing to bring this up, even though this has, it's demonstrably harmful for them politically. And
they are going to end up like that Mitt Romney dog.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's find out season. It's find out season. It's find out season. I wanted to pivot to something that was written in the New York Times this weekend by a pollster named Tom Bonnier, who we've cited his work before. He wrote something in the New York Times this weekend that is titled, "Women Are So Fired Up to Vote, I've Never Seen Anything Like It." And this is from a pollster. And this is in the New York Times, which has in the past done clickbait, but this is not. They're not a clickbait factory. So yeah, what do you make of women being fired up? What signs are you seeing of that? So
women are registering to vote more. They are voting more. That as we have seen and I think that you and I, these articles are interesting, but it's so almost nerve-wracking to talk about them because you don't want people to think going into a midterm, it's all fine, the women are going to vote, we're going to be saved. And it's let us not forget the white suburban women of Virginia. But women are engaged. They for years, we have thought this might happen. Everybody said it wouldn't happen, and it did happen. And so I think that in your version of, find out season, women are like, okay, we found out. We found out they will do it. They are as extreme as we've been told that they are. And in general, the Republican Party is utterly willing to erode our rights as quickly as they can. And so in Kansas, which we talked about, it was not just how many women turned out. It was that in Kansas, they had almost presidential year level turnout, which is incredible. And, so they're saying people are fucking fired up. They're showing they're going to the polls. They're registering to vote. So,
I mean,
women are surging. They're surging.
Women are the hottest new accessory for 2022.
That was so Stefan from SNL.
It's got everything. Here's the thing, Alyssa. We have a very recent example of Republicans fucking around and finding out with female voters. 2018. Mm-hmm. 2018 was an extremely find out season election for Republicans. Yep. And it was a blue wave that was bigger in degree than anything that pundits predicted, unless there were people like you and me who were paying attention to what we were hearing, what we were seeing, and the way that women are talking to each other. I'm not a pollster, and so I'm not going to pretend that I have scientific insight here. But I can say that based on conversations, interactions I've had with women across the spectrum of, socioeconomic status, people I grew up with who live back in rural Wisconsin, I've seen, posts on social media from them that are to the effect of what the fuck, all the way to people who are living in New York City and have law degrees, and and people who are highly paid graduate school, graduate professionals. It seems like the thing that unites, half of the population of this country is that we have a biology that Republicans believe they have the authority to regulate.
Yep.
And it doesn't really matter where you live now. We know that they're trying to do a federal ban. Lindsey Graham came out and just said the quiet part loud.
Yep. Doesn't
matter where you live, doesn't matter who you are, how rich you are. All of this is going to impact you. And I don't understand why Republicans are why don't we try fucking around with women again? It doesn't end well for them.
It doesn't. And especially because it's not even they support expanding different kinds of healthcare. I mean, up where I spend most of my time, up near Albany, you have to travel really far to find a hospital where you can have a baby, let alone, and people say, oh, New York, it's, this liberal, blah, blah, blah. So the funny thing was driving around, because our primaries were the end of August, signs everywhere that say, vote Democrat if you believe in choice. Even places where you would think it was just so understood, it's not. People get it now that no place, it doesn't matter. There are some people who are in far better circumstances currently, but none of us are safe from what they're trying to do.
Exactly. And this is what we've been saying, and we'll say it again, because it's true. A vote for a Republican, any Republican, anywhere on the ballot, a vote for a Republican is a vote against abortion access. A vote for a Republican is a vote for abortion bans.
Yep. And Lindsey Graham's telling us. He's telling us,
let's listen to them. And, it doesn't really matter how low your taxes are if you live in a country where you have no say over when and how you give birth. It doesn't matter.
No.
And
and the other thing too is that even if the thing about the Republican Party that is so terrifying is you actually have no idea what they believe. No idea. It's all in service of winning elections. And so even if all of them after Lindsey Graham introduced this legislation were Homer Simpson backing into the bush, whoa boy, we weren't. If it could pass, they'd be fucking down. They just don't want to lose their election right now. It's not like they had a change of heart in the past 3 months and they were you know what? Women should have rights. People in America should be able to decide what happens to their bodies and when or if they give birth. And so, it's that's why it's all on the ballot all the time, in every state.
Exactly. And I also want to say, to your point, I don't think that Lindsey Graham really believes in anything.
I agree, total 100%.
And one way that we can tell that he specifically doesn't believe in his proposal on abortion is how wooden and like totally, it's like he didn't think through his position before he had a press conference on it.
Right.
He got a question from a female journalist who had gone through a traumatic experience where a birth defect rendered her child couldn't survive.
Right.
And when she brought it up, his response was like, well, the rest of the world has made a decision. Like, what?
Shut up.
Did you only practice one possible, like, pushback on this law? Like, Lindsey Graham and Republicans are going to say that this ban brings us in line with Europe. But we are not in line with Europe with
bullshit.
in almost everything else. We are not in line with Europe when it comes to paid parental leave. Mm-hmm. They've got it. We don't. Mm-hmm. People like Lindsey Graham have made sure that we don't. We're not in line with Europe when it comes to universal health care. They've got it. We don't. People like Lindsey Graham have made sure that we don't. Also, Joe Lieberman, speaking of Connecticut, callback. They've also got low-cost or government-sponsored high-quality preschool that is taught by childcare providers who are highly trained and fairly compensated. Yeah. We don't have that either, thanks to people like Lindsey Graham. So you want to talk about getting in line with Europe? I would love to get in line with Europe.
Give us Europe.
Let's do that other shit first, though.
Yeah.
Before we start drawing.
And also, everything they say when they try to make the comparisons to Europe is such bullshit, and it's so disingenuous because Europe, when it comes to abortion, some of the sort of they may say that abortion shouldn't happen after 14 weeks, except one, it's so much more accessible in Europe than it is here. Hospitals have not turned their backs on abortions because they don't want to be stigmatized. The laws are written such that, yes, abortion should not happen after 14 weeks, except, I think Germany is a great example, except if the life or mental health of the mother or fetus is in jeopardy from the point of view of the pregnant person.
It preserves choice and human dignity while putting on some, it's sort of like, it's like bumper cars on,
yes, that's such a good analogy.
But it's not like, they're not hard and fast rules like they're proposing here. And they're certainly not rules that enable people to turn in their neighbors for $10,000 bounties for violating them.
Such fucking wild shit.
If anybody comes to me with some bullshit about getting in line with Europe, I'm going to be like, do all that other shit first. Also, yes. You don't know what you're talking about, and you're relying on general ignorance of the rest of the population to get away with that bullshit. It is, we're not in any way getting in line with Europe with a blanket 15-week ban with only exceptions for rape, incest, and serious health jeopardy for the mother as determined by some like TBD government entity or medical authority. This is nowhere near what they have in Europe. Don't let anybody tell you that it is. But yeah, keep talking about abortion, Lindsay. Love
Please.
Having these conversations, these imaginary conversations with you. Look, at least it wasn't like Marsha Blackburn.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, I put that out into the universe, but yeah. And that's all the news for today. Let's take a quick break. And welcome back. We have no housekeeping this week, so let's get right into I Feel Petty / Sanity Corner, aka Sani-Petty, which Caroline hates, which I will persevere with despite that. Alyssa, do you want to go first? Are you feeling petty, or do you have a Sanity Corner this week?
Okay, so Erin, in the spirit of the new name, this is both sanity and petty. Because, and I'm so excited that Kara is on because she is a foremost Law & Order SVU expert. And this week, John Oliver went on a bit of a diatribe against Law & Order and saying that it was like a huge part of propaganda and that it was like not good for the world. And like, One, it just hit me hard because I love the show. I realize I'm a middle-aged white lady, but like I love Mariska Hargitay, and I think that they have done so much to make the show not that, you know, especially in like the last 3 years, I feel like Law and Order has really sort of gone head on, and there are crooked cops and they root each other out. And the reason I think I feel such an emotional connection to the show and why I bristled so much at what he said is like half the ways I protect myself on the mean streets of New York City is shit I learned from Olivia Benson in one or like some episode of Law and Order. And I feel like that the whole point specifically of SVU, which is the franchise I think at this point that has lasted the longest, is like they have tried to change the laws for how like rape kits are processed. And I feel like of all the shows in the universe that this one's kind of at least tried to do some good. And so I felt stressed by it. I took it like kind of personally, and I don't know that I should have, but I wanted to know what Kara thought because she knows even better than I do.
Okay, so I watched this twice, and I don't think he was coming for SVU.
Okay.
If this had just been about SVU, that would have been one thing, because I would have thought he was very off. I think he's coming for the entire Dick Wolf universe, which we have to remember is Law and Order regular, Criminal Intent, which is off the air.
Right.
It's Chicago PD, it's Chicago Med, it's Chicago Fire, it's some new show
about
called FBI.
those. Okay, see, this is why I needed to talk to you.
I think he's going after Dick Wolf specifically because Dick Wolf is publicly very pro-cop. And so he's going after Dick Wolf. He definitely tried to, and I agree with you, Alyssa. I was feeling the same way. I was like, hey, that's my show.
Come on now. Yeah.
Like I was getting like a stomach ache from it. I was like, you leave them alone. And then I was like, I don't really think that he's diving deep enough into SVU specifically, which I obviously know. My podcast co-host Lisa is furious that he did not talk to us for this segment.
It's true.
But I was like, exactly. He tried to touch on the fact like that Mariska Hargitay says victims come up to her all the time. So many people learn survival skills. I mean, literally just a few months ago, like a 12-year-old girl was able to outsmart her attacker from stuff she watched on SVU.
Yes, I remember
like,
that.
She bit this guy and was able to get away from this guy that was kidnapping her. I mean, you can't. But we talk on the podcast all the time about how it is propaganda and how but on SVU, every other cop on SVU is a full moron except for the ones that are in this squad.
It's true.
So they're basically creating this fantasy squad of people with this high closure rate who go after rapists even when the victim doesn't want to press charges, like literally go above and beyond in a way that of course is not real. But that is why I think the show is so comforting to so many women specifically, that in this world, usually the bad guy gets it. And they also have done BLM episodes, like multiple.
Yes.
So I feel as though but I was talking to a former writer friend who did say that like trying to get anything that was like anti-cop on there was a struggle with Dick. So I think it seems to me like John Oliver, he's got to come up with something every week. And he was going after like the Dick Wolf universe. Because I thought when he compared it to Grey's Anatomy and stuff, I was like, yeah, but you don't think Grey's Anatomy is sending the message like, always listen to your doctor. Right. Your doctor's out there for the best in you. Like, doctors aren't racist. Like, of course, like Grey's Anatomy is doing things that are wrong too. So he was trying to compare that he was trying to say that he understands it's a fantasy, but that the show needs to do more. And I'm like, I don't think you're watching SVU because they are doing quite a bit.
That was, okay, thank you so much. I feel so much better because I agree. I don't watch any of those other shows, so I don't, but I for some reason, I just felt so SVU attacked.
And you can find the right clips to like back up anything you're saying. Like, they found clips of Sam Waterston being like, people are against the cops, it's bad. And I'm like, that's not really.
You're like, there's 25 seasons of this show.
Yeah.
This show has been around since the first arrival of a train.
Yeah, like SVU.
1895 with Alyssa
That's why
in the workforce.
Kiran, maybe you have just really nailed why that got me so much. Because I'm like, you just attack all the things that are old.
Yeah, I thought he had points. I thought he had good points.
He did have some points.
If you want a more nuanced view of this, please listen to my episode of my podcast that comes out in 2 weeks, because that's how long our freaking recording process goes. But yeah, I was with you though.
Okay, thank you. But you really did raise points. I had not really thought about all of the Dick Wolf shows, which I've never watched.
Because he was showing clips of old Carrie, old Carrie, what's her name, who was married to Richard Gere. He was showing all old clips of like Law and Order regular and, stuff like that. So
you guys might love this. This might be helpful. Like I've told you, I think, Kara, that I worked on that show, that John Stamos episode, the one with the,
the reproductive abuser.
Yeah. And I was very big on like getting extras that were minorities into that one. Like there was like an Indian chick who was like one of the abusers in there. That was like, I was like constantly, I was like, put an Indian in it, why can't there be an Indian in it? It's like they got them saying that refrain, which was, change starts small. But one of the actors on that said one time to me, he goes, they them go, his first name's Dick and his last name's Wolf. What else do you need to know?
Yeah, he could go by Rick Wolf, Richard Wolf, but he went by Dick.
I sometimes I think about that and I think it's hilarious. It makes me laugh, and I was like, oh, maybe they'll like it.
I'll tell you guys something off mic too about that episode.
One thing I did want to just add to that, the thing about propaganda and like Dick Wolf shows, is the thing that I think is kind of problematic is the way that like every time a suspect is like, I want a lawyer, the cops are like, oh, definitely. Like they're so mad. It's like the I want a lawyer moment is the moment that it's for sure that person is a villain. In reality, to insist, if you ever get arrested for anything, do not talk to the cops. You should not talk to the cops.
Oh, we say that on our podcast constantly. We're like, do not talk to the cops. Do not let them in. Do not No. But also, they were talking in the John Oliver thing about how they constantly rail against defense attorneys in Law and Order.
Yeah.
And,
it's true.
But that's funny because, if it's a defense attorney who is... There's like a guy named Buchanan. There's like a bunch of them that are like sleazy rich people defense attorneys. So those, I think, yes, of course, they're trying to get rich people off, Then there's other defense attorneys like Annie Potts who are like Glenn Headley that are like working for the little guy. So it's more nuanced than like the clip they showed of Olivia Benson going, ugh, it's the scum of the earth, AKA a defense attorney. What?
My brother's a defense attorney, but he works in a public defender's office. And one morning my mom sent me a text. This was like months and months ago. She's like, you should check in on your brother today. He's really sad about one of his clients. And I was like, what happened? Like, well, got convicted of murder and is going to go away for a long time. And I was like, well, did they do it? And my mom was like, well, yes, but nevertheless.
That's so funny.
A public defender is like, a defense attorney is supposed to provide the best possible representation for their client. That's their job. They don't really necessarily... They're doing a job, you know what I mean? And look,
my uncle is a public defender in Florida, and he's like, I remember like being obsessed with asking him questions about it, and he was like, I was like, so did he do it? And he goes, oh, they always did it. I'm just trying to get them to not have the death penalty. And I'm like, okay. I'm sure that he was joking, and that's not 100 but like he's like most of the time they did it.
Oh man.
In conclusion, guys, let's write a strongly worded letter to John Oliver from Hysteria.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
No, it's but see, the thing is now I see it in a much different light. Thanks to Kara. That's why I didn't rant or tweet on the internet about it. I saved my thoughts for an intelligent discussion.
I'm so happy we could have that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry if this fully devolved into my podcast.
This is what respect looks like, CNN. Take note. Kiran, what are you feeling petty, or do you have a sanity corner this week?
That's a great question. It's been really, really hot in Los Angeles. It was like a heat wave. I don't have air conditioning.
What? How are you alive?
I don't have air conditioning. And I think my sanity corner would be air conditioning or like weather that's chill, or like, can we like do something about climate change? I don't know if that's like sane, but
honestly, climate change is going to save the movie industry. Because everybody is going to be like, okay, it's 106 degrees this afternoon. where can I go that it's cool? And the answer is a movie theater. You can go
It's
into
true.
a movie theater. And it is cool.
Yes, it's gonna movie theaters are gonna be reappropriated as just like icebox safe spaces.
And if you have kids, it's just Target.
Yep, that's true. That's true. You could take your kids to Target for sure. Well, I'm glad that you survived. I can't believe that you made it. Just text me next time, Kiran. You can come over. We have air conditioning.
It was like normally like my place has like because it's like an old like it by Paramount Studios, and so it's like a building from the 20s. So there's no internal there's no central air, right? And it's like, but the way that the windows are structured is usually it gets good air. So if it's anything under 90 degrees, it's pretty chill. The fan is good, whatever. And I'm pretty good with the heat. This was truly unbearable. I was like, and it just was, And now I'm like, temperate weather. What a gift. What a gift. Remember,
God.
if you're like physically comfortable, it's just such a reminder. If you are physically comfortable, you're having a pretty good day.
That's a good point.
That's a great point. I'll go next. So this week, a trailer for the new live action Disney's The Little Mermaid hit the internet. And the way that it has been covered and discussed online is a real reminder of a few things. First of all, Disney adults are a menace, and fan entitlement is a scourge, and we should eliminate people's ability to downvote pieces of entertainment online because that has been abused. So here's the issue. The new Little Mermaid is being played by an actress named Halle Bailey. Halle Bailey is a Black woman. And the Little Mermaid being Black is something that matters a lot to little Black girls who have never seen a Black Little Mermaid on screen before. It's really exciting. It's exciting to anybody who is, interested in a revamping of the old Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale.
Also, mermaids, we know them to be real. Those are
we know
real
them to be real,
creatures
and they are white. What? Yeah. So here's the reason. The thing that people are saying to defend themselves, because I pulled up a couple like blog posts from Disney adults that were like, "Look, I'm not racist, but I don't like the trailer because this." A lot of the people were saying like, "Here's the thing, it's not accurate because in the story of the Little Mermaid, Hans Christian Andersen, described the Little Mermaid as having blue eyes and skin like the petal of a rose and." All of these things, and he was Danish, so of course he wrote it about a white Little Mermaid, whatever. All of these people are grasping at straws. Guys, guess what? In the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, if we're going for accuracy, the Little Mermaid has to die at the end. Because that's what happens in the fairy tale. The Little Mermaid dies. So if you're a Disney adult mad at the lack of quote-unquote accuracy in a live-action Little Mermaid that has cast a Black actress as Ariel the Little Mermaid, then you should also be mad that the Little Mermaid doesn't die in the cartoon.
Because I saw somewhere on Twitter, too, on Instagram, that the original Little Mermaid is green. Like, is a full green creature. So, like, then we're not even...
Do we? I mean, what kind of heavy metal poisoning turns your skin green? I know it's one of them. It's not silver. It's like
the one that the Tin Man used in Wizard of Oz. My husband has a joke about these Disney adults people, like where it's like you just basically glommed on to the first thing you thought was cool, and you've never changed. And so, like, yeah, I guess that would shatter your entire world if you've never found something else besides the Little Mermaid to be into your entire life. Like, that would be pretty shattering. But I saw the first visuals I saw of that. I was like, she looks so beautiful. Like, she looks like a mermaid. Like, it didn't even occur to me like that would be, I don't know. Who cares?
The visual effects look amazing. They look like they took a long time. And I think that the experience of watching that movie in a theater will be really cool for people who are interested in watching The Little Mermaid. I'm not a fan of the Disney live action reboots, period, but like, cool. Not everything is for me. This is for an audience that I think is really excited about this story, really excited about seeing this reinterpretation on the big screen. And like, I cannot get behind adults angry at children's movies.
And if you have a problem with it, head over to your Disney Plus app and pop on the original Little Mermaid and have a day. I mean, like, who cares? No one's making you watch this.
Interesting. So the green skin color comes from interpretations about whether just when her skin in the initial Hans Christian Andersen is described as delicate and clear as a rose petal, that she was clear, that she wasn't white, she was clear.
Oh, so she's like translucent.
Get it?
That's
like veiny.
Spooky.
Like a jellyfish.
Like I don't know if the color translates, but see, in this photo I'm showing everyone, she is more gray-green than she is,
I loved that evil picture of her. I've never seen her looking so evil, and that was very chic.
Yeah.
I think that it is it's very silly to be an adult who's upset about this. I would love to see a green Little Mermaid. I think that'd be cool.
It's also one of these things where I start to think when I hear about these controversies online, like, how many people are actually speaking out about this, and how many blogs are picking
1,000%, yeah.
How many blogs are picking it up to be like, look at this controversy because it's like a fun little clicky story, you know?
Sure. I thought the same thing because I used to work as part of the outrage machine where there'd be like 3 tweets by like accounts that had 5 followers each, and people would be like, everyone's mad that Little Orphan Annie is black or whatever. But this actually seems to have some form of like online heft behind it. But look, if I were working at Disney, I would be like, amazing. People are talking about this trailer, and the people who seem to not like it are on kind of the bad side of the conversation. So yeah, I just think, man, just let kids have their things. Like adults we're not entitled to dictate what appeals to children. If adults were, then, Peppa Pig would have some changes made. And so would Paw Patrol.
Peppa.
It's just like I wish this wasn't like just the same recycled story. It's like Little Orphan Annie, The Black Jedi, The Little Mermaid. Like, guys, guess what? Black people are going to keep being in movies, and they're going to keep playing characters that are like classically white, and you just have to deal with it. Like,
right.
I just don't know. We can't keep having this argument.
It's so unbelievable. It's tiresome, is what it is. I feel like Kara. This is round like 12 of this conversation. And I'm tired of it, but I do want to point out that people who are adults who are upset about this are weird. Deeply weird. Kara, what are you feeling petty, or are you having a sanity corner this week?
Oh, I'm never, Sanity Corner is my hardest one because I never could think of it.
Because you're crazy.
I guess I'll do an I feel petty. Like, I watched the Emmys on Monday night. Did you guys watch the Emmys?
Yes.
Did you do a recap on the pod?
No.
I guess I just was like disappointed that it seems like the same shows win every year for everything. Like, I obviously loved some of the people that won and thought that was great, but like for best comedy, it's like, does Ted Lasso need another Emmy? Like, do they need it? You know what I mean?
Thought
Like, they
the
have
same
2,
thing.
like they already have one. Like, I just feel like in a year that a show like Abbott Elementary is out, and that could just do so much. Like, why are we not voting? I don't know. I don't watch Ted Lasso, so I know that it's a great show.
No, see, I agree with you because I feel like it's like, what was so different about this season from last season of Ted Lasso that what they did this year should be honored additionally? That's how I felt.
Yeah, and like, I feel like Succession's won a bunch of times. It's just like with the award shows, it's like, these are all bullshit anyway. So once people have won, can we like mix it up? I don't know. That maybe I'm being
for Succession, Tom Wambgan's winning when nobody else did was pretty fucking great.
Yeah, that was funny.
The guy that's the British guy?
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah. I don't watch that either. Here I am feeling petty going, these shows I don't watch won awards. What the hell?
How dare
Yeah,
they?
you're like, can the ones I watch win?
I get it just like is annoying when I think it's like the same ones over and over again. Whereas I used to feel like back in the day, it's like, was Erin Brockovich or Julia Roberts' best movie? Probably not, but like it was her turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like was Sandra Bullock The Blind Side? Not her best, but it was her turn. Like I just was like, it's some other people's turn. Can we give some other people a turn? That's all I was saying. But I was obsessed with Shirley Ralph winning, and her speech was amazing. And I'm sure you guys, and also Jennifer Coolidge. Here's what I feel petty about. Don't you dare play Jennifer Coolidge off.
Wait, hold on. Okay.
the stage when she's rambling.
Especially after she's told us she's swollen from her lavender bath. Give the woman a break.
Yeah, like she's literally writing a better sitcom than probably half the nominees right now in front of you. Let her talk.
Yeah, I gotta say, I agree with you, Kara, about the same shows winning over and over again. I love Succession, but I think Severance was so weird and creative and good, top to bottom. Such a great show, and I wanted to see it win more stuff because
I know I gotta get. Also, Yellow Jackets was so freaking good.
Oh, Yellow Jackets was so. When is the next season coming out of Yellow Jackets?
I think really soon. Is it not this fall?
It needs to come out during spooky season. It is the most spooky vibes show. Ugh. We need to get some Yellow Jackets cast members on this show because
first quarter of 2023.
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So we gotta wait
late
for the winter.
Ugh, fine. I guess I'll rewatch season 1 during spooky season.
Maybe they want to keep it that way because, you know, like the snow and the deer queen and all that, the antler queen or whatever and all that.
Yeah.
But
okay. Well, this was a very robust, I feel petty Sanity Corner this week. This is a robustly discussed Sanity Corner. Thank you to everyone who joined for the show. Thanks, Kara and Kiran, for joining. Thanks, Alyssa, for being my ride or die. Welcome back from your non-vacation. And listeners, if you have like fuckery going on in your states, we remind you of this from time to time, but we're probably going to do another tour to fuckery segment pretty soon. So if there's something going on in your state where politicians are acting whack and it's not getting the national attention that you think it deserves, you can email us hysteria@crooked.com. And if it fits in, we'll put it on the show and we'll give you a shout out. And thank you all for listening. There will be more Hysteria for you next week.